Hi, welcome to NGL, Nottingham Guitar Lessons, guitar amplifiers today. I've got an interesting, very rare beast on the bench. This is a Watkins Wem Control HR30, and this is the only one I've ever seen in the flesh. A very rare amplifier indeed, and I'm looking forward to this project. So let's just hone in on the front panel. So we've got two channels, and we've got, if we hone in there, we've got microphone input and bass input on there, and we have got the treble control, bass and volume on that, and then on this side we've got rhythm and lead channels. Be interesting to see the difference between those four inputs. And then we've got treble, bass and volume again there. We've got these push buttons, for the vibrato and tremolo, and a presence button as well there. That's very different, and can't say I've ever seen that on a guitar amplifier before. So you can, so we've got vibrato high and low control there. Not sure how that works. And then we've got tremolo, and then we've got an off button there to switch it all out. And then we've just got the rate and beat here, if we can see that. Let me just bring that down there, rate and beat, and then we've got a foot switch there for that. So quite a different amp layout. That obviously the volume, treble and bass are pretty normal, but the way these inputs are labelled, and again this push button set out, and you don't often see vibrato and tremolo on the same amplifier. Now I've not managed to track a schematic down for this amp as yet, so I don't know whether there actually is one online. We may have to trace it out. So let's have a look at the back. So we're just looking at the back now. You can see we've got the old bulging plug there, and something's been removed from there. I'm not really and I have no idea what that was. There, we just hone in. You can see that something's been blanked off with oh, and it's the impedance selector. I've just seen it up there. So that there, the impedance selector has been blanked off. Is that the impedance selector? Well, it just says 7.5. Oh no, it's had maybe it had a different speaker connection there, and that's been added by the look of it, that jack socket. What are you doing, Pink? Behave yourself. And that looks like an indicator light on the back. Didn't see one on the front, so that is strange. So the indicator light is on the back. How weird. And you can see there, Wem London, made in England. Main switch, fuses, 4 amp or 2 amp, and there's an asterisk at the side of 4 amp. Sorry, I'm getting a bit out with the camera there. There's an asterisk there at the side of the 4 amp, and if we look on the voltage selector there, you can see 110 volts. There's the asterisk, so that's telling you serial number 513. So not many of these made. So yeah, that's all nicely laid out on here, so you can understand what's what. So we've got the back door off. You can see the screws there. 2 of those are non-original, and that screw is that's rotten as a July pear. Let's have a look inside then. So we've got some Mullard tubes there, and they look like the original output tubes to me. Those are Mullard, and they are EL84s, 6BQ5s if you're in the States. There, and we've also got a preamp valve there. Can't see what that is. there, you can see that, and we must have some more tubes. I've got a feeling this is split chassis, and it is a split chassis. If we peer in there, you might be able to see, you might not. There's a board, PC board, and there's some tubes mounted to it, mounted horizontally. Yeah, output transformer there, not very big, you can see. Oh sorry, no, that's not output transformer, that's the output transformer. That must be some kind of choke or something, or maybe, I don't know what that is. Getting a bit above myself there. So yeah, that looks like the output transformer in the centre there, and then I don't know what that's for. We'll have to investigate that. So there we are, and it's got an umbilical lead there up to the preamp section. You mightn't be able to see that, you might not. In there you can just you can see it now. Look, the blue, that's the actual blue umbilical cord going up there. Let's see if we can zoom in there. Might not get a good picture. Just have a bit of a fly past. We're assuming that's the phase inverter, but only assuming. Speculating. I can see a very grubby looking resistor in there. Look, if we hone in, you see that? Don't know whether that's burnt or what. Yep, that umbilical cord, you can see it on this side as well. So that looks like a very long cord, probably to allow you to get this, probably to allow you to draw this chassis out. But as we know, the more cable you create between a power amp and preamp stage, the more noise you're likely to create. So I think what we'll do now is we'll get the chassis out of the cabinet and have a look at what we're dealing with. Right, we've got this chassis out. Had a few lodges in here with this cobwebs, got quite a few, and it looks like there's a bit of the lodger's lunch there, because I can see a few wings, so it looks like he's had his dinner. If we can just hone in, you can probably see that. So I can see a few things in here. One is a very burnt resistor there, and we're not sure what that's doing. Could be some kind of drop-in resistor. So that's burnt, but I'm afraid there's something far more serious than that, and that is that that has been botched, and I mean botched. So if we just remove that cobweb, he's no longer paying the rent, so we've got rid of him. Oh, there he is. I think he's there. It looks like he's, yeah, there he is. He's turned toes, or he's been fried. So yes, cheerio. Yeah, let's just check this out here. So botched on, wire just tacked across there. All this has been botched. Dearie me, why would you do that to such a beautiful amp? It just pains me. And the other thing is, on the front here there is a resistor. That's obviously a drop-in resistor across those. Now I've seen many a burnt resistor, but I've never seen one that is rusty, and you can just see all the rust. That's just actually gone rusty there. Now this amp has got low volume amongst other things, but I didn't bargain that. It's obviously had some moisture in it at some time, because you can see the rust on there, but I didn't bargain for that. There are the diodes there, those top hat looking things there, you can see. Just hone on that. That's a couple of diodes there. Oh, original cap electrolytic there, and there's a couple there. That one looks very suspect. It does. A lot of cobwebs in it. Someone else has been lodging as well down here in the corner. Unless it's the same. Oh no, he's down there. I can see him. He's turned toes as well. Looks like he's had. Yeah, he's probably only had about 180 volts in him to fry him, where that one's probably had about 300. Yes. Yes, of all the places to make your home is on top of 2 power capacitors. But there you go. He is no more, bless him. So that is going to have to be sorted out, because that is dangerous. Furthermore, that's actually now can touch the chassis there, and you can see if I just bring the camera around there, that can quite easily be touching the chassis, and that is lethal. So that is job 1A, I'm afraid, before we do anything, and I'm not going to fire this amp up until I've sorted that out, because that is just nasty and dangerous. Again, this amp's not going to be as easy to trace out as one on a turret or eyelet board or point to point, because it's on a PC board, which makes it more difficult, but we should be able to manage that pretty easy. Now, so let's have a nosy inside the cabinet at the preamp stage now, so we can see inside here. So you see we've got all these Plessy capacitors. They're not great, those. I bet you they're all the original tubes, because all the tubes on this board are original. You can see there's the you can see the cord now going into the, and there's the push button module down there. Look, you see that going on there. So a cute little amplifier. It's just a shame that Mr. Bodger's been in here, but we can remedy that. Someone's rattling the lock on the bolt on the door again, and we know who that is. In she comes, just as when I'm filming. Some nice mustard caps in there. Yes, there she is. Another burnt resistor there. Just spotted that. I didn't see that looking through the camera. Another burnt resistor on there. So that's the first job. And what are they? 100 microfarad. 100 microfarad. That seems a bit excessive for this amp. So how's that wired? So those should be, I would have thought 50 microfarad each, not 100. They're not wired in series. Yeah, they're way too big for this amplifier. In fact, it's questionable. Is that 32 on there by any chance? 16, that is. So they certainly weigh 100 microfarad each. So I'm presuming that these are normally, most of these WEMs are wired, and I know because I use a couple of these dominators, and they're all generally the same circuit as rule of thumb. Certainly on the power supply, you usually got 50 for the plate and 50 for the screens. So we've got 100 and 100 for plate and screen. So they're the wrong caps as well, by the look of it. Oh, and someone there, there's another lodger here. Looks like he had his mate round and he got fried as well. Let's have a look at him. Yes, he's definitely had 300, madam. He's looking very sick. Yeah, he's brown bread. Get rid of him. So I did actually see something. Some guy had put an amp repair up, and a spider had crawled into this amp and actually shorted the power supply. He was fried. But yeah, they all look a bit fried as well. And yet there's another one as well there. So he had his mate round as well, and he's fried. Oh, where he is. There he is. I bet there's some arachnophobias out there absolutely cringing because I'm picking these up now. But it's not a tarantula, is it? So it's not really something to worry about. So we've had a bit of a good look around this amp now, and I think I'm going to turn it over and just have a bit of a look at some of these tubes on here. So I'm just going to flip it over. A lot of rust on this chassis. A lot of rust there, and another rusty resistor. Look at that, 2.2k. That all needs addressing as well. And then we've got this transformer here. Oops, sorry. So we need to just trace that out and see what that's doing. That's got a nasty dry joint on there and there as well, so we need to address that. These tubes, so a nice Mollard tube there. There's a bit of a code on there, but I'm no good at dating these things. I bet some people are though. So there's that yellow print Mollard. We need to test all these valves and see, because again this amp's suffering from low volume, and then they've got the original tubes, haven't they? You would have thought. I think this amp must be from about 65, 66 maybe a touch later, not much later I wouldn't have thought, although I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, and I've certainly not seen one of these before. Yeah, original Mullards, pretty sure they are, and the other four are the same. I think that's Mullard, and that one is as well there, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, they're pretty, that's all original. So I'm presuming these are, and these have got, I just slide that off. We can see that tube now. Let's take that out. Yeah, Mullard. Look at those. They look like brand new. They do. To be really careful when you're handling these, not to rub the print off. Yeah, so that's him. So I'm guessing all those are original. They don't look like they've ever been touched. So that's really nice to find an amp with all the original Mullard tubes in it. So there we are. That's the Wem Control HR30. We've done an assessment, just a quick assessment there of what needs doing. Job 1A is those capacitors that are floating in the breeze. Really bad work, that. Don't know why anyone would just botch up an amp like this. Right, so having assessed that, I think we'll leave that for part one, and I'm going to go away, scratch my head and decide what I'm going to do about those capacitors. So I shall see you in part two. You all take care, and I'll see you soon.